Welcome to Surrogate Church. Today I have my angel baby with me, Pi, P-I. She is the first dog in Paradise Studios, that is. Bobby hasn't even brought his own dog, Daisy May. So this is the angel. Bobby says his dog is the devil. So one day maybe we'll get the angel and the devil on the couch. But in the meantime, today I am sharing my podium, not only with this angel, but my daughter Lili, the only one of my children who has yet to be on the couch. And she is a writer. She is imagination on fire. The characters she comes up with, I don't know where they are. So let this be the first of many shows where I step aside and can make room for other voices. So if you've got a poem or you've got something to say or you have some spoken word that needs to be spoken out loud, get in touch with me and you have a place at my podium. So I'm going to start with just a little teeny piece from Surrogate Church called Final Gestation. Bursting at the seams, I cannot hold her for much longer. Time changes. It slows down. Soon she will be among us. So as a mother, we give birth to our children many times over in a lifetime. And as your kids begin to enter their 20s, time does change. I don't know if it slows down. I think it actually speeds up. But there is this period where they are bursting at the seams to be born into their own lives, to be born anew, to be born through the eyes of the world. And the part of the way they do it is by having their voice and having a career and wandering, traveling, working, loving. And so I make room for all of you who are bursting at the seams and creating your way into the world. So without further ado, my darling Lili, make your way. Lili-licious, come on out. Give us a little booty shake, Lili.
Oh, no.
Come on. I'm going to turn over the mic to Lili. Let's clip you on. Passing. Okay. It's all yours, Mama.
On a shiny, bright day in the village of Zilp, a beautiful baby was born. Not a human baby, but a teeny dragon with scales and a tail and a horn. The baby was born in the town hospital, filled with only the best doctors and nurses who specialize in dragonly types of illness. The dragon's eyes blinked as she looked around. Her mom and her pop were relieved, so they sent in the sky celebration announcements made out of the fire they breathed. They cuddled their baby and called her Madrina. They giggled at all of her coos. They cheered at her beauty and her sharp teeth. Then the doctor came in with some news. Congratulations to you and you. She's a beautiful dragon. That much is true. Just one more thing before you may rest. It's time for the baby's fire breathing test. You see, every baby once born in Zilp has to get tested real quick to make sure their fire is rumbling and ready and that it will not make them sick. So Mom and so Pop handed over their baby. They held onto each other's tails and waited to hear what the doctor would say of their baby and her brand new scales. He smiled and wrote little notes on his pad. He pressed on her legs and her arms. He studied her heart and looked down her throat, then pulled back with a bit of alarm. Both parents got worried and asked what was wrong. The doctor said nothing at all. Then he turned to the baby, said, "Okay, Madrina, shoot fire straight at that wall." Madrina just smiled and widened her eyes. She looked at the doctor and laughed. He said, "Just one moment," and then he took off to consult with the rest of his staff. The family waited until the return of 3 dragons in white doctor coats. They checked out Madrina, mumbled to each other, and scribbled down all of their notes. I am sorry, Mom, and I am sorry, Pop, but we do not have very good news. There seems not to be any fire inside, which will cause Madrina issues. If your baby ever gets mad or gets sad, she must know she cannot blow fire. Instead, she must become a peacemaking dragon, a shy one, or maybe a crier. Mom and Pop took their new baby home. They weren't too angry or sad, for they had a beautiful, happy new dragon, and for that they felt very glad. After that day, life became quite normal. Madrina grew up, and up. She was a bit taller than dragons her age and begged Mom and Dad for a pup. She went to school and she followed the rules. She was very smart and so kind, and always surrounded by wonderful dragons who wanted a piece of her mind. She remained quite calm most of the time. She wrote in her journal each day. She sat with the thoughts up in her brain and picked carefully what she would say. It was clear way back from a very young age that Madrina was terribly wise. You could see it in the way that she spoke and in her fiery eyes. Now there were a few times when those fiery eyes were not sparked by passion but rage. And when she was so rarely angry, Madrina felt trapped in a cage. She would take a deep breath and, like all her friends, get ready to release her flames. But then Mom and Pop would tell her to stop, and their words, they were always the same. No, Madrina, you have no fire. Don't try to breathe it. You won't. And even at times when you have great desire, though you might want to, please don't. Madrina, she listened. She just couldn't help but always do what she was told. And though she dreamed about breathing her fire, she knew that she wasn't so bold. So as she kept growing, she took on the role of quiet, of calm, and of wise. She looked after her friends, helped Mom and Pop, and accepted her shyness disguise. And she stayed like this, quiet Madrina, never let herself get mad. And if she even thought about breathing her fire, she felt really guilty and bad. And see, what is weird is that she never knew why she had no fire inside. If everyone else is allowed to have feelings, please tell me, why cannot I? Though these questions floated round her scaly head, she never asked them out loud. She let the years pass, then had babes of her own, of who she was terribly proud. She had 4 little dragons, one after another. They were cute and so smart and quite sweet. Each had shining scales of all different colors, and Madrina thought each was a treat. Now, something strange about these 4 dragons. Like their mama, they were indeed wise. But each one of the dragons, in their own way, had fire not just in their eyes. They breathed fire all the time, when happy, when scared, or when mad. They were always scorching their toys and each other with the different feelings they had. Madrina was shocked and pleasantly surprised. She loved that her babies had fire inside and taught them each day, and through every fight, there's no feeling that they must hide. The 4 baby dragons learned Madrina's lesson, but over the years they all grew and began to wonder why their dragon mama would not learn her own lesson too. Mom, you were mad at the scale brush store. Why were you quiet? Why didn't you roar? And Mr. Wingsprill is a terrible liar. When he lies to you, why don't you breathe fire? We know you get angry. How could you not? How to breathe your fire? Have you forgot? We don't understand why you're always so good. You can't always breathe fire, but sometimes you should. She knew this was true, but she could not forget that since she was young, she was told that she did not have any fire to breathe, that her flame inside had gone cold. For the truth is that when she got all fired up, the same voices went through her head. No, Madrina, do not blow your fire. Be still and stay calm instead. Madrina just laughed at her 4 feisty pups and told them all to be sure that breathing fire was good and was great, but it just was not for her. They looked at her and for the first time did not believe their mom was true. Okay, Mom, whatever you say, but there's fire building up in you. Now, no one had ever told Madrina that she did have a fire inside. And her baby dragons made it seem like fact that the people before them had lied. This stuck with Madrina, and she started to see a difference when she got revved up. For along with the voice telling her to stop, she heard the voice of her pups. No, no, Madrina, you do not have fire. Come on, Mom, just be brave. Though you may have such great desire, Mom, no one can always behave. And though she still never blew out fire when those voices rolled through her head, she swore she felt a heat in her throat and saw her breath puff out real red. Then, one day, she woke up in the morning and went to wake up her core four. And when she checked into each of their rooms, not one was in bed anymore. Immediately, she felt a great fear. Why in the world aren't they here? She rushed out her door, anxious to know if they were okay and where they did go. And that's when she saw them upon Scraggle Cliff, climbing way up to the top. The four of them laughing, not worried about the incredible, terrible drop. She was mad they snuck out. She was scared they would fall. She rushed over and huffed and she puffed. At the base of the mountain, she screamed up towards them, and out of her mouth did erupt an explosion of flames, red, orange, and blue. The children could not believe it was true. Madrina roared, and she roared with fire, with enough crackle to set an entire forest in flames. Her feelings were clear. Each breath it was filled with the anger and fear that she kept inside since she was just born, that she didn't trust since the doctor did warn everyone that she just could not ever breathe fire with flames red and hot. But boy, was he wrong, and weren't they all? Madrina had flames, and they were not small. Up in the sky, they were shocking and scary. They danced on the air like the wings of a fairy, and proved that despite what everyone said, Madrina had fire that had to be spread. Her four dragons waited on top of the cliff for the fireworks show to subside. And the moment it did, they flew down to Madrina. They hugged her and cheered, and they cried. You did it! You did it! We knew you had fire. That doctor messed up or was some kind of liar. That was so amazing. Your fire's so cool. Oh, and sorry we broke your no cliff climbing rule. She hugged her four dragons and told them to never leave without letting her know. Then she thanked them for all their belief in her fire and thanked them for watching her show. They all sat together as Madrina thought about what the doctor had said, the way that it scared her mom and her pop and put voices inside of her head. Those voices that stopped her for so many years from feeling okay to share her dragonly fire whenever she wanted to shoot it straight up in the air. And all that it took to spark up her flame was a new voice, so brave and so pure, one that believed in what she could achieve. Her four dragons' trust was the cure. One of the four looked up at Madrina, the one with the wild red beard. I know a way we can celebrate you conquering one of your fears. I know that you're scared of old Scraggle Cliff, but it rises right over the sea. What if we flew up to the tippy top, me, you, and the other three? I know you are scared, but the water's amazing, and we will jump right next to you. Just another chance to do something great that you thought you never could do. Yes, Mama, yes, all the dragons called. It will be so very much fun. And we will be careful and slow and so safe. Look how close we will be to the sun. They all grabbed a hold of their mama's tail. They promised her there was no way she could fail. They would jump together, they'd splash and they'd swim out of the water, and then would begin a new part of life where Madrina could be calm and quite wise, but incredibly free to release the fire she did have inside. No more were the days of trying to hide or believing in what everyone told her about who she was or the fire she holds, because no one can know about who she is more than her herself, or maybe her four fiery dragons who somehow can see not just who she is, but who she can be. Oh no. Oh no. That's for you.
Lili and Pi, best friends. So Lili was coming on the show today, and of course she was a little bit nervous, and she just said in her Lili voice, "Can I bring my pie?" while she was laying on the floor in that picture in our dining room.
And so she can.
So I said, "Okay, I guess so." And the girls were like, "You better check if it's okay." But it's okay, Pi. We brought all her blankets and pillows. You're a star.
And she did such a good job when you were holding her up there.
Such a good girl.
She really did.
She really is just
Comfort.
Pure comfort. She is bred for comfort.
Yeah.
But she also has a little fire in her. So Mary's on the couch too, but she is really the pie keeper. She's here to watch Pi. Since Lili said, Mary's been on, this is
Mary's
the
the
third time.
queen of your show.
I know.
She's,
Always on.
but you could just be with Pi. So Lili, like these poems have sort of been new.
Yeah.
Like they're just bursting through you.
Well, okay. It was about a year ago that I started writing them, and I was just having a really awful day. And I remember I stormed up to my bedroom and was literally like, I'm not good at anything. I have no idea what to do. I don't have any hobbies. I'm not good at anything. And I found my 3rd grade poetry journal.
Oh my God, Mrs. Ruggieri.
Yeah. And we were obsessed with those kinds of rhyming poems. And I specifically was obsessed with them and loved them. And so I found it, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm not good at anything. And I wrote one of those 3rd grade rhyming poems about how I'm not good at anything. And
Started where you're
never planned on showing it to anyone because it was so embarrassing. But then I actually kind of liked it when I was finished with it. And then I just kept going and going and going. And then these like longer ones started to just happen.
And this is an example with Madrina the dragon. Like they are so magical and mythical that sometimes I hear them and I'm like, where did this creature come from? Like almost like you're just tuning into this other dimension of beauty and originality. So they are so fun to hear.
Thanks.
But the other thing I was just thinking when you were talking, the idea of retrieving the child part of ourselves, because as kids we sort of, at least I don't know if this is true for you, but a lot of kids feel like they're good at everything until someone tells them they're not.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like, I'm the greatest
Singer ever. Yep.
I dance like I could be on stage. And then someone says, no, that's not really your thing. Like, we begin to define children early on. So there, you retrieved her.
Yeah.
You retrieved her. You found her.
Yeah.
In the written word. Like, who is this 3rd grader rhyming? Like, so cute.
So cute.
That you had to love her.
Yes.
And the illustration.
Oh my God. And these rhymes that like don't work.
But still, it was like to bring her out of exile.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was really brilliant in what you spoke about was you started where you were at. It wasn't, I'm not good at anything. Oh, I once loved poetry. What should I write a poem about? Because then the search is all here. Versus right now, I feel like shit, like I'm nothing. We've all touched that place. It's a very universal feeling.
Yeah.
Let me start there.
And I think that's where most of my poems start.
With
It's
the
just
feeling.
exactly where I am. And sometimes I notice it while I'm writing, and sometimes I don't notice it until after. But as like magical and weirdo any of my creatures or characters are, always that underlying message or story is always something that I'm going through. at that time.
So it's like honoring the moment is the portal. Like, right?
I guess, yeah.
Right? I'm here.
Yeah.
Because it is like a portal into another world, but I think that's any creative process.
Yeah.
So what opens the door of the portal? You stand in a pause of whether it's I feel worthless or I just saw the most beautiful exchange, right? Something that moves you. It opens.
Yeah. And it's easier to talk about it and express it when it's not you saying, these are my feelings.
Yeah. And then the characters sort of find you.
Yeah. And the characters are so lovable. So it's like, oh, whatever, this weird toad is going through all this stuff, but he's so cute. I can relate to him.
Right.
And then it helps me to accept my issues.
You are like so honest. You're so honest with it. And you've got this gift of words, which was with you from the time you were a baby. Like you were 2 years old and you knew how to explain things. So to have that ability and not just stay stuck in your head with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's where you can get lost. And to go to, I'm going to create something new and lovable, and it has little sparkles of me in there.
Yeah.
But it's better.
Yeah.
It's there, which is why I gave you this hat. Bobby here at his studio has merchandise. Paradise Studios, come on down. But this hat says on the front, Infinite Badass. Now we know, like Lili, badass. I said it a little wrong. So. So Lili is the sweetest, right? But she
Sometimes.
is a badass, this girl. But on the back, it says, don't hate. And I think that is like the definition of you. Like
That's
really,
such a compliment.
Such a non-hater, so willing to embrace. But I think that comes from your ability to begin to embrace like all the shades of you.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
So if I have it, it's like, who am I to judge anybody else?
Right.
So I do love this hat.
Me
Infinite
too.
Badass.
Ooh.
Don't hate.
I love that.
Really, right?
Yeah.
How
And
you
you
doing,
want to
Pa?
come in for a nice video?
There you go. Hi. Hi.
Comes
Where's
right in
Lili?
this photo
Where's
shot.
Lili? Where's Lili? No, that's Keith. That's not Lili. Sorry, I thought she knew. So tell me more about, or tell us about the Madrina inspiration.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely inspired by you.
Right.
I think that in the context of your family growing up, and from what you've told us about like your life before kids, you were always very shy and quiet and
totally.
soft and kind of kept everything in. And even now, like, we still know a side of you that's super quiet and peaceful and just like make everything good and listen to other people's problems, fix them, but never really have room to express your own, at least not in a way that's explosive and fiery.
Right.
Always
sure.
very, very nice. But then on the other hand, like us as kids, I think all of us can remember like some real fiery explosions.
Oh yeah, kids aren't going to bring it out of you.
Right. And not necessarily at us, but like at Lord and Taylor, which is always comes up to me. Retail. But yeah, so it was inspired by this side of you that I think oh yeah, if we didn't eat chicken thighs. But yeah, by this side of you that a lot of people don't know, and I think that maybe you weren't comfortable with earlier in your life. And the importance of releasing that. And like that is literally the message that you gave to us growing up.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, share your emotions, be who you are, express. And there was never any feeling or any tantrum or explosion that we had that was unforgivable.
Oh, right.
Never. It was always like, okay, that happened, why? And just like you needed to have room for that too.
It's so moving to hear the piece, because I think you really got it right on. And the part of the poem where in the beginning the doctors say she doesn't have the capacity, right? It's back to that same idea of, like, early on, and I've seen it with all of you, like you catch elements, glimmers of the true nature of your children, and you want to catch it because it's like it's a firefly. It's the spark.
Yeah.
So part of my nature was always very peaceful.
Yes.
But then it got locked in. That was the definition
Yes.
of who I am: the peacemaker and the peacekeeper. And I love that role. Like that's an honor to have it. But if that's all I am, it eliminates part of the humanness.
Yeah, and it's just not truthful.
Right. It's not.
There's no, I think all the time people get placed into these roles and like, oh, this is how the world,
Whoa. There's our peacekeeper.
this is how the world expects to see me. This is how my family expects to see me. This is what my friends are expecting. So I have to be that way. And that's not fair.
And like you said, it really like takes away from the texture of truth.
Yeah, everyone can feel everything.
Yeah, right.
So there's no...
And the other thing I was thinking is that you, out of all the kids, you really did like provoke my anger because, sorry, you were such a sensory kid.
Yes.
Right? Such sensitivity. And we see it a lot in kids. We're at least now beginning to understand what it is. Just these more and more children being sensitive to sounds, colors, lights, textures, foods. And one of our big fights were always over food.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like your blood sugar needed to be level, so I had to feed you protein. You hate any kind of animal meats, which is your truth. And today you're a vegan and love it and are healthy. But back then I was like, eat this hot dog.
Yeah, and
eat
I was
the meatball.
horrified.
And you wouldn't submit.
No, I would have a tantrum.
Yeah, you would not. And that would create such helplessness, and then ultimately that kind of anger that has nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So, but now I really get how much a teacher you were for me in that. Like you have to, like I had to be able to express it. Mary, you could take Pi off the stage. She doesn't, you know, she's drinking. Off they go for a walk. You could take her out too, Mary, if you want.
But yes, yeah.
So,
and I've never been one to be ashamed to have a fit.
I love that about you. Like you were never scared to scream.
Oh no, no. And sometimes I'm having no emotion. Like I'm not overjoyed, I'm not furious, I'm not scared, and I really need to scream, and so I just do.
Well, it was funny because this morning you were just upstairs with Sage and you were screaming about something. It was happy scream.
Yeah, just like sometimes you've gotta.
And then all of a sudden Pi started trembling.
Yeah, okay.
Like what's going on?
We don't know if that was the cause of that yet, so.
What's going
Still
on?
undetermined.
What's happening here?
But yeah,
and because of that, we would always call you the fire, right? Because we would, again, us looking for which child holds which element, even though you all hold all the elements.
Yes.
But because you were 4, we liked the idea Mary's water.
And it holds true in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I think
guess so.
they really are the ones, each of our elements really are the ones that we present with.
Uh-huh.
Like, we so all have all of them, but I do think out of the four of us, I present with the most fire.
Yes. You got fire in your eye.
I do. I was supposed to get my fire tattoo.
Yes, because now that it's sibling tattoo. Mary got water. Emma has earth.
Yes.
Sage doesn't have
Sage doesn't have his yet, and I don't have mine yet. But we went, when we were in Portland, me and Mary, we went to a tattoo shop, and Emma and I were supposed to get ours together. And we went in, and I was having a fiery day. I was not in a great mood. And we went into the tattoo shop, and I really didn't like the tattoo artist. I just did not like his vibe. I was having sensory overload, and I just knew now is not the time to get this tattoo. I don't want it here. I don't want it now. And once I had that thought.
What happened, Mary? Oh, you don't have your shoes.
shoes.
Here, you could take my shoes. We're very casual today. That's what Emma and I talked about that, her taking my shoes. It's just water.
Dunk shot.
Okay.
Sorry, Bobby.
Sorry. Okay.
But
You were at the
Was I talking?
tattoo place.
oh yeah, so I just got it in my head that I wasn't gonna get it, and Emma was really annoyed with me and was being very persuasive. Like, we're supposed to get it together. You're so mean. We're getting it now. And I was just like, no, 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 and no. And so then this whole thing happened where we needed a credit card, or no, we needed cash. We only had credit cards. The ATMs weren't working. It was bizarre. And then we went back and we were like, okay, sorry, it's not going to happen today. The ATMs don't work. We have no cash. And he was like, fine. We can use credit card. Like, rude.
What? And all of a sudden,
He can use credit card. So I'm like, this guy is
a liar.
and a liar.
Yeah. Yep.
So Emma's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, we'll just do credit card. It's fine. Like, hostile about it. So Emma's like, okay, we'll do it then. And I was like, actually, you can just book it for one. It won't be two. And he was like, why? And I was like, no, he was like, why? I just said the credit card will be fine. We can use the credit card.
Bullying you.
And so I said, well, I'm extremely superstitious and particular, and the fact that we went to 2 ATMs and couldn't get any cash just says to me that it is not here and not now that I'm getting this tattoo.
Oh my God. Infinite badass! Are you kidding?
And he was annoyed, and my sister was annoyed.
Story.
But I was like, too bad. This is, like, you've got to speak up for what you need.
Well, and not to think that that's being mean.
Right.
It is actually trusting the gut.
Yeah.
The intuition. And when we were in Mexico, one of the things that we learned was that when you get a tattoo, it's back to this idea of the portal.
Yeah.
It really becomes a portal of energy. And you have to be very choosy about who your artist is. You need to trust your artist. You need to trust the vibe of the particular day.
Yes.
The energy you're bringing, because there is blood that is released and absorbed. There's an absorption. So to know that and go against it, I would say that so much of my life, I have gone against my intuition, my inner voice, because I was afraid to seem mean.
But
this
I'm
is
telling
the
you,
thing.
I think that is so much of so many people's lives.
Yeah.
And what does that do? It turns them actually mean.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid or ashamed to speak out for themselves when they're having intuition or whatever it is. So then all these things happen to them that they knew were not right.
Yes.
And then they're resentful.
It changes the course.
Yeah.
And it also feels like that truth of just like I'm superstitious and I went to 2 ATMs and that's like bad juju for me.
Yes.
Should be enough.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Like not to have to make up some story. Well, I'm not really sure, or I'm not this, or I'm not
no
that.
No need for lying. Like
who,
that is what's
because
happening.
who can argue that?
Yeah.
What
and
is
he couldn't. He was like, okay.
Yeah, what are we going to do?
And same with my Emma.
And
afterward.
it's really actually a brilliant example because you also like didn't make it about him being a jerk.
Right.
Like you said yes, then you said no, and then
no.
This is
no,
just
because it was mine. I was not
comfortable.
I was not in it. And
it
after I asked Emma, I was like, so are you mad at me for not getting it with you? Or are you proud of me for sticking up for what I needed? And she said, well, I'm definitely not proud of you.
Oh, so she was mad.
Yeah.
But we got over it.
Yeah.
Am I mad at myself for doing it, even though I don't want to? Or will I be proud of myself for actually using this as an opportunity? Because who cares? There's millions of tattoo artists for using this moment as an opportunity to stand up for myself. It's a great question to ask. Will I be proud of myself? And the same the other way, and we've talked about this before on the show, because sometimes the inner voice is just pure fear that says, no, don't. And it takes more bravery to say, nope, I will. But I guess it's like starting to really figure out like what matters most to you and who you are, like the criteria of who am I really? And can I, in fact, be so peaceful and still a dragon?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Right?
And I think you
it's like quality. Like you could switch up the quality of the roles.
Yes. Yes.
I can be a very peaceful dragon, but that doesn't mean that I don't have fire that can get unleashed.
Yes.
I like that.
And it doesn't mean that I'm not, or we're not, like go with the flow kinds of people.
Yes.
Because in a lot of ways I am.
So much
There's
so.
a lot that I'm like, whatever. But there are also things that I'm not whatever about.
Yeah.
And like, that's okay. Not to perfectly fit and to go with the flow or stressed out. I don't know.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting because I work with a lot of sensory kids. Our school is mostly sensory kids. And what I'm beginning to understand about sensory is that people with sensory issues that aren't typical have access to energetic information that others of us are usually shut off from. So that is also in line with me, with my whole search and understanding of God and Spirit. It's very much Holy Spirit. It is energy that's very powerful and that moves through in a way that is hard to make sense of, hard to manage. When people are in the presence of Holy Spirit, like when you see it in these church ceremonies and they're touched, they faint. They start talking in tongues, right? Their breath is taken away from them. Their bodies shake. It is energy.
Yeah.
It is energy. So now what makes that energy holy? I think it goes back to how it's named. Like how those around you begin to conceive it. Because even in the poem, The Four Little Dragons, when they see the fire in their mother, they're like, oh,
yeah, they're so proud of her.
It's here. And this fire is actually going to get us to the top of the mountain and to fly. Like, oh, we've been waiting for this.
Yes.
Versus being shamed by it of, that's not who you are.
Right. Which is the worst. If you have I don't know, a gathering where you're just feeling really great and you're super silly and dancing and having so much fun, and people are like, whoa, what's gotten into you?
Yeah,
even that.
Who's that side of you?
Even that one, whoa, what's gotten into you?
The Holy Spirit.
Immediately.
Holy Spirit,
Yeah,
baby.
you can say that. I'll not. But like, you immediately shut yourself down because it's like, oh, it's not what they were expecting. It was weird.
Yep.
Just so bizarre.
Right.
So bizarre.
Expansion.
Yeah.
Like, right, how do you, expansion and acceptance and sort of figuring it out and trusting. And this is the part that I am just beginning to get to in my life is, okay, maybe it's enough to trust. If I have access to my truth, to a sense of how I feel about something or what I even know inside, and I follow that, then it will work out okay.
Yes.
It'll be okay. Like,
Yeah.
even if it feels, according to my definition of, oh, that feels mean because I'm not giving the other person what they want. Like, maybe the lesson is not to give them what they want.
Right.
So that they can find another path or another door. And I know I'm speaking vaguely, but it certainly has been the specifics of our family
Yeah.
for the last 2 years of coming undone and then coming back together. I don't know if you remember this, but a couple of years ago, you gave me for Christmas a bumper sticker that said, rewrite your script.
Yeah. Oh, that was a long time ago.
Right? Uh-oh, what's happening? Pie? She ran. Oh, Mary gave it. Oh, that Mary from Offstage said, oh, that was me who gave you rewrite your script.
I just went
Sorry,
along with
Mary.
it for the sake of the show. I knew I didn't give that to you.
Did you really know? Maybe I gave it to you then.
Yeah, you re-gifted it to me.
I bought a new one, and I gave it to you.
Yes. Yes.
That was our connection. Okay, I knew we had a connection.
Yes, we do.
But that also makes me feel like the gifts my children give me, in like the messages and the way that you see me and help me to become more, I then can give back not only to you but to the world, because we are always seeing that in each other.
Yeah, but we give it to you because of what you've given us.
Yeah,
and taught
those,
us.
Right. That's really special. Thank you, Lili.
It really is.
That's so special. So you work right now for actually this amazing immersive theater production.
I do.
Pips Island.
Yes.
And what's so interesting about Pips Island, that it's all about sparking imagination.
Yeah.
So my little
It is.
fireball here, like you are in a job that is all about spark. And how do you keep spark alive in kids, especially in a time where their entertainment is very video-based, right? Technologically based.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so special because when kids come to the show, you can feel it the second they walk in. Until the second they walk out, you see a whole different side of them. Even these kids who I have never met before in my life, but you can tell who they are when they walk in and they're in the lobby and getting ready. And then once they walk in and are given 60 minutes to completely jump into their imagination and their role as explorer, and to wholeheartedly, like they have the opportunity to wholeheartedly commit to an exploration. It is one of the most amazing things that I've seen kids do, because and even our actors and the adults, their parents who walk through it, everyone just gets a little bit lighter, and there's like a really intense happiness that comes from having no
changes
phones.
them.
Yeah, and being able to just jump into your imagination. Like the next 60 minutes matter so much, but in terms of your real life, they don't matter at all. Yeah. But that you can still take 60 minutes to care so much about something that's fake, it's important.
And it's imprinting.
Yes.
Like, because there is such attention and reverence, that we talked a lot last show, because it was all about my pilgrimage to the Mary Magdalene. Yeah. That walk, right, that hour walk up the mountain to get to her cave was a walk of reverence. That's what any pilgrimage is. So as adults, more and more of us are always seeking the pilgrimage, the Camino, the walk, the way to connect with what we call God, right? What is in fact the feeling of Spirit moving through you in a way that makes you feel lit up, holy.
Yes.
And I think we're forgetting that children need that. And they don't need it through religious instruction.
Oh my God, no.
They need it through a reverent sense of play, because play is their surrogate church, right? And theater is such, but not all theater, because theater you could just be watching, but this idea of immersive theater,
yes,
you are
they are a part of the story.
You are part of it. Your choices affect the outcome. You are experiencing with all of your senses.
Yeah.
That really wakes up the spiritual journey, and then imprints somewhere in them this idea of, wow, life is actually a journey. It's mysterious. Outcomes aren't unknown. Sometimes it's scary. But if we work together, we can save the day. That's like
and ultimately,
miraculous.
It's supposed to be enjoyable.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Like and that is actually really key. And I want to emphasize it, because usually, and it's true even with the pilgrimages, they have to do with suffering and self-sacrifice. And there is a part of commitment where there's no turning back, and you have to endure sometimes. But like, can we begin to make it fun?
Please, please.
Walking up the mountain with Sage and Colette and her wacky friend from England and Grandma locked in a church with 100 nuns was funny.
Yes.
And that has imprinted me just as much as the, holiness of the moment of meeting the goddess, of like, we've arrived. So,
and I think, especially with the state of our world right now, I mean, I get woken up every morning with a CNN update that's devastating.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier for people to suffer these days than it is for people to have genuine fun.
Yeah.
And people are quicker to turn to than,
or to escape from the by just, I don't know, getting drunk or like doing self-destructive things to escape.
Yeah.
And how do we bring the fun back? And I actually do feel like people are seeking it. Like, they're starting to say, okay, like what is fun and genuinely fun for me?
Yeah.
It's like going and finding your third grader and your 8-year-old. Like, what did my 8-year-old like to do?
Right.
And if it was like jumping rope, then jump rope.
Yes.
Like, find it,
Yeah.
recover it, bring it back, do it.
Yeah.
Make up those. I remember one of the things you kids always did were videos with your friends.
Oh my God.
Hysterical for hours and hours.
And we would reenact reality TV shows that were competitions.
All of this.
Oh my
The
God.
runway up, what was that? The runway show?
Yeah, but it was all like completely devoting our time and attention to something that didn't technically matter.
Yeah, and it matters.
Because also it's
It
so
matters.
meditative to wipe your brain of everything going on in your life
That's true.
and fill it with completely new things and new goals and focuses. That's totally meditative.
It is play as meditation.
Yeah.
Imaginative play.
Imaginative play that you
Imaginative play.
really get yourself immersed in.
And I bet it is the same, like light up of the brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it quiets all the other.
It quiets all the worries, all of the stresses.
That's fantastic. So let's give that challenge, right? With Lili on the show. The challenge to go upstairs, wherever your upstairs is, metaphorically, and find the 8-year-old.
And
The
then just live
evidence
there.
of what the 8-year-old loved to do.
Yeah.
And go back.
Yes.
Do it. Create
Because
it.
most likely you will still
love
love
it.
to do it.
Right. Like make it happen.
Yeah.
And that alone is such a step towards, I think, peace in the world.
Oh my God.
Right?
Of
Rather than
course.
dwelling on
Of
the
course
suffering.
it is. Of course
That's
it
a step.
is.
Create more sparks of light.
Yeah, and fun.
And fun.
Fun.
I think so. My alias is going to be Madrina.
That's right. That's right. Bring out the
Madrina's
fire.
Healing Fires.
Oh.
Oh, kind of like that. New business card.
Oh boy.
Bring it to the fire. Bring it to the fire. Whether you need to release it or whether you just need to shed light on something new.
Yeah.
That's
Fire's
great.
great. Fire can burn, but it also warms you up.
And you warm my heart. That's awesome. All right, my love, finally made it. Thank you.
I know. I did
You have
it.
this pile of craziness, of furry.
I do love to be cozy.
Nice and cozy. Pie abandoned the couch, but we did have her here for a while.
And she was cute.
So special.
Cute as ever.
And she came out of nowhere, our Pie, and has been such a gift to
Oh my
me
God.
through this
Oh my God.
transition.
Oh
And to know that I have her moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
love
She's
that.
such a buddy.
So thank you, Pie, for being the infinite circle. She's named Pie because we got her 3/14/15, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Infinite circle of love never ends.
So good.
So good. Okay, my love. Thank you. Until next time, find your fire, find your sparks, get out there, be an infinite badass, but please don't hate. Love,
Don't hate.
imagine. Oh, as John Lennon would say, imagine. Be well.